now I'm getting a... Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Triple T for Knife Makers podcast. I got my buddy Jerid from Echo Blades here as always. Say
What's
hello,
up,
Jerid. Hey, how you been?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Good. Had a nice long weekend. I know you had to work today, but I had Monday off, so it was a fun little weekend.
Yeah, I have no idea what it's like to have like normal holidays. I think we get 6 a year, so
I think we get like 9, so it's not that much more.
well, it's pretty funny because I'm getting going in the morning, and I'm actually kind of a little earlier than I normally go in, and I get on the road, and I'm like, oh man, I must have got in really early because there's not a
no traffic.
soul on the road yet. I'm just cruising along, and I'm like, oh, it's a fucking holiday. So
all right. So off the top, I'm going to tell you, we were supposed to record Sunday. Today's
really?
Monday. You guys will hear this. You guys will hear this Tuesday. We normally record Sunday night. And I told Jerid, okay, we'll record Sunday around 8. And I had my grandson over that day. We had made dinner. I had a few glasses of wine. We went in the hot tub.
Mm-hmm.
And then we put a movie on, and I passed the fuck out on the couch. And my wife showed me my phone, and she said, "You got a whole bunch of calls from Jerid," and it was 9:30. Like, damn it!
Yeah, like 8:00 comes around. I'm like, all right, 8:20. I'm like, so I hit him. I'm, hey man, whenever you're ready. Finally, I'm like, dude. So I give him a call straight to voicemail. I'm like, this motherfucker just faked on me.
Yeah, I was snoring in front of the TV while everyone else watched a movie. So
yeah, well, I fell asleep on the couch too. So thanks.
All right, you're welcome.
Yeah,
but we got it going. So what else is
here
new?
we are. Shit. Yeah, it was a long week. I was in Idaho.
Oh
We
yeah.
recorded, and I was in Idaho last week. That was a quick turnaround. Was there Monday, came back Tuesday night, and then regular scheduled broadcasting after that. But I did get a weekend in the shop, dude. I had a really cool experience on. Well, it was it was a cool experience. So my buddy Jeff comes over most weekends, every other couple, whenever we can get together, right? So it's once a month, then it's 2 times a month, or every other week, and then there's like a month where we don't ever get together. But so he was supposed to go golf or something, and we're actually having a winter here in California. Like,
Yeah, we are.
yeah. So, getting sidetracked here, but I don't know if Instagram was fucking with me, but I saw a post that we had a hurricane warning.
I thought it was tornado warning. I saw a tornado warning. Like,
Well, I like hurricane. I think hurricane's a way cooler story, so I'm gonna run with that one. We were gonna have a blizzard. Yeah.
I thought on the West Coast they're not hurricanes, they're typhoons.
I don't fucking know. I've never seen one. I know it was really windy in Florida when we were out there, and that was like the worst rain and worst wind I've ever seen. I was like huddling down and stuff. But yeah, so we're having a winter here, and I guess it's not good golf weather for a tournament. So Jeff hits me back and he's like, hey dude, I'm like, well, do you want to get together? He's like, yeah. And he's like, I'm like, how much time do you have? And he's like, well, if I bring my son, I could have all the time in the world. I'm like, well, shoot, bring that little dude along, right? Just the last week he was FaceTiming him, and why are you still at Uncle Jerid's and blah 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 blah. So I'm like, oh, this is cool. So I was like, bring him on. Guys, I'm laughing because a couple weeks ago on the Work For It, they were talking about having people in your shop and signing waivers and stuff like that, and I'm not above board on that kind of stuff, right? So I don't even think about it until I have this picture. I'll probably post it sometime, but I got this little 4-year-old kid sitting at my bench, and he's got just a stack of these knives sitting right in front of him, and he's all cheesing, and then good God, he's running around everywhere, and just being a kid, having a good time, and but around every corner we can hurt ourselves, but it's amplified when you got a little kid running around there. So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool, but we got a couple things done. And
What'd you
then
guys do? What'd you guys finish?
we finished. Oh, I got the rapid quench
Oh yeah.
set up. So that was kind of mounted a month or so ago, but we got the air all hooked up. So that thing is ready to rock and roll. Haven't used it yet, but I'm stoked to try it. And then we got we started building like a tooling arm holder, right? So I've
Oh,
kind of gone through a bunch of different variations of what I wanted to do and what I've always envisioned. And with the very first grinder that I ever saw and was almost really close to, it was last episode you were talking about. Do you get a grinder or do you get an oven? At Blade West in Long Beach, I had a very, very, very close to pulling the trigger on the Ameribraid. And because what I liked about it was the stand had the thing for all the tool holders. It looked really cool. I ended up getting an even heat though, in a weird, shady drug deal type thing. but, but I got it, so never mind. So I drove home with an even heat in my trunk instead of that. But
so no sponsor from Even Heat for the show. Is that what you're telling me?
no, I mean,
that
come on,
comment?
guys. Yeah. Well,
Spencer,
I just
if you're out there, we could use a sponsor.
yeah, there you go. Come on, Spence. You know that. No, just kidding. So we did so I did that, and but what I was trying to get at is the tooling arm stand, right? I really like the idea, but I actually, after a couple years in, I'm glad I didn't run with that particular setup, because you kind of get dust and shit all in your
Yeah,
things
that's what
and
a lot of
stuff.
people say about that setup.
Yeah, and I didn't. It's kind of funny. I'll kind of transition into something else here in a little bit, but yeah, I'm really impulsive. Very impulsive.
No.
Very impulsive.
We'll talk about another purchase soon.
And I tend to get these ideas, and I get locked and loaded on this idea, and then I'll end up buying and then doing a bunch of research. So maybe it's a little backwards, but some people are very prepared. I'm just not that guy.
Shoot, aim, fire.
Yeah, exactly. And then but the concept of the tooling arms on like a movable little mobile stand type thing, I really dig that. And we ended up going with the kind of like similar to yours, where you mount it on the wall and it's got on the 45 degrees and you step them in there. But I did that, but I put it on a bench that was low. So long story short, my organization of my tooling arms was just fucking scattered all over the floor and under the benches and shit. So there was really no organization there. So we built this little thing, and it's basically just like a tooling arm receivers on a little tower, and we you slide them all in there. But I did a bunch of welding, which I had done before on the thing I made for the Vice.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot to talk about that, because fuck, man, like I love the idea of welding, right? And again, guys, I didn't know how to do shit before I started making. Like I had never done anything, right? So like it's completely foreign, like all of this stuff. So I have a welder now, and I was welding. It's hilarious. I plugged the tip on my welder 4 times when I was trying to weld that fucking thing
This is the
underneath
MIG you're talking about.
the MIG. Yeah. Like 4 times trying to weld that receiver underneath the bottom of my tabletop. Because I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm just stupid, but when you weld upside down, the gas goes back down into the tip. It just clogged it. So
Welding upside down is no joke, though. I mean, I'm no expert welder, but I've even just doing like vertical welds, like,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough.
And
I'm welding upside down. That's some serious stuff. You got to
yeah.
know what
And
you're
I mean,
doing.
and I feel like an idiot. And I sound like one, right? Saying this out loud because it's obvious that the shit's going to come back down. And then I didn't have those, what are those things? Like a Welpers? Is that the welder's pliers?
Oh, I don't know. I just use
Okay,
regular.
I don't know. Somebody, I think Jeff was telling me they're called Welpers, but I didn't have any of those, so I bought some of those, and boy, those things work really well. They pull the wire right the fuck out of that melted tip. I'm a pro at it now, so. But yeah, so I did a bunch of welding on the tooling arm receiver this weekend too, and that shit's hard. I mean, it's hard. So like I
Yeah,
say, it takes practice. It's
yeah, it
I'm
does.
just if it doesn't come natural, then I want to move on. But everything I want to do, I have to fabricate and shit. So and
I
guys
love
like you and
welding.
Jeff, yeah, guys
I
like you and
love.
Jeff make me do it myself too. So
Oh well, yeah, of course.
cheers and a fuck you. For that.
You did a bit of welding in my shop on Sunday.
Yeah,
Welded a
I
couple
did.
of billets up. Yeah,
I did. Yeah, but I'm stoked with the way that thing turned out. We had
cool.
we had too many holders up high, so I welded some down lower, and now they all fit in there, super cool. And then we finished the hammer holder thing. I'm digging that. Did you ever see
I,
that?
I know I haven't seen it.
Oh, dude. So it's like a bunch of CPVC pipes glued around in a circle together,
Uh-huh.
and you drop the hammers inside of it. But we put it on this thing so it spins, and I'll end up mounting it on the wall, and it'll kind of just rotate like this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and but I did a video on that. It did pretty good. I like it. It's a pretty damn cool idea.
I
So
never came up on my feed. I'll have to go look.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's all these little things I got to do in the shop, but I haven't had time. I need to do a hammer rack for the and tong rack for the other anvil for classes, which I haven't done, and all these little
Yeah.
things. But
The idea for that holder though is to get the hammers up out of the shop and on the wall, and then I still need the ones by the anvil, and but you could just pick and choose the couple that I need, and they're not there because everything on my shop's on wheels and gets wheeled to a corner or against the wall somewhere. So
cool.
I don't know. Yeah.
So now you got to start using that stuff more. Hopefully,
Yeah. So check this out. So I am after last week forging with my buddy Nick Rollins. I I'm all fired up for forging. Like it's just been like all I'm thinking about lately. But I have a shop that's in my garage, and for whatever reason, the guys that built this thing, like, there's not a single level plane in the ceiling in my garage. I'm a fire sprinkler guy. That's what I do for a living. So I mean, I deal with ceilings all day long, fancy ones, soffits here, coffers, all this stuff. And shit, man, my garage must have thought it was like the Taj Mahal or something, because it is just completely one level here, one level there.
yeah, it's pretty wacky. I remember putting in the wiring, and it's like I don't know
You
what they
can't
were
run
thinking.
anything from one end to the other without like going up and down 14 times. It's a bitch,
Yeah,
dude. Um, oh, excuse me. But what was I saying? It's
the
gone.
ceiling.
Oh, the
The,
ceiling. Yeah. So
this the
yeah, because I've been having a lot of apprehension about running my Apollo in there. Um, on top of that, my driveway is on like a mega slant, so I'd have to build some kind of platform to get it outside, kind of like your setup, because I think that's
this is good. I'm gonna pause you here for a little segue because I've had a bunch of people ask me this, and I used your intel here since you're the sprinkler guy. So sprinklers have ratings, and I asked Jerid at one point, "Hey, I was worried about this." And I asked him what the ratings were for the sprinkler. So tell people how to know the ratings for the sprinklers in your garage if you have them.
Well, it depends. But generally residential sprinklers will have a color on the bulb, and red. They go from like a ordinary temperature, intermediate, and extra high. But red bulbs are ordinary, which is like 130 to 165, and then the next step up, which is a green bulb, is 175 to 212 or something like that. So if you got a green bulb, you're probably good. um, if you have some kind of height to your ceiling, because contrary to popular belief, it takes like ambient direct heat on the bulb itself to pop the head.
Yeah.
You can't just
Yeah.
hold a lighter there.
So when I had my forge running, when I used to have it in the shop, I used a heat gun on the ceiling, and I got it to read like 130 above the forge. That's really close to one of the red
Correct.
ones. Like
Yeah.
it's um, yeah, I'd be worried about having those sprinkler heads in the garage and having a forge in there. So
Sure.
all you
I
out there
mean,
listening, that's something to think about if you actually do forge with your forge inside.
yeah. And of course, being a sprinkler guy, if I fucking flood my garage popping the sprinklers, that wouldn't go over too well. So
Yeah, you might get razzed at work a
I
little
mean,
bit
I
for
have
that.
200 degrees in there, and I'm still not. It's just too, the height's not where I would want it to be. So,
Right.
um, so I haven't done it, and I haven't really used it, which kind of poses an issue for trying to forge. So, segue. I start. I think I noticed it somewhere, and then I just started like, I want a fucking induction forge. So I started calling around. I was calling a bunch of people and talking to Brian and Brent, and because the way I was seeing it used, I mean, I could all of a sudden it was just like ding, and then there you go. Here goes Jerid, locked on an idea, can't let it go. I'm like, I just started asking, and then can I forge just mono steel knives and like do some basic blacksmithing with it? They're like, yeah, dude, that's what the fuck it's for. It's awesome. And I was like, click, 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 ding, on its way. So
And you
it's,
ordered it Sunday, right?
I ordered
Or
it Sunday,
Saturday? Yeah, you ordered it
Saturday or
Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saturday or Sunday. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, you told me about it. And that morning, I had reached out to Chris Powell and asked him what induction forge he uses. And he gave me a link to Amazon, which is the same one that you ordered. So
Yep.
the very same day, we had the very same idea. I didn't pull the trigger yet because I was going to actually do a little research. But
That's stupid.
well, then again, everyone else has done the research for us because
That's
Brian
true.
and those guys all have the
Well,
same one.
that's a good point because it was shipping today. So Brent had talked to me about I guess Derek Melton, and I did some reading on that. Has a great resource page on his website with like a bunch of shit about all induction forge, about the cold forge one, the DIYs, and the other stuff that I got. I think I went with the US solid one. And it's like an overload of information, how how to make your own coils, and what coils to use, the chiller links. So great page. Thanks, Derek, really appreciate that. Really, really, really cool page. And then I watched a YouTube video from Chris Zepp on Make Everything, and that just completely sealed it for me. But I watched that today, so I reached out to him and told him, I was like, "Yeah, because I like to do research after I buy shit." Yeah. By the way, that's a great video. I'm glad I did what I did.
And what was the total price, if I might ask?
I think it was 1,200.
1200, and that's with the chiller or without?
No, without the chiller. I haven't got the chiller yet, so yeah, it was
It-
1,200. I think for the deal itself plus tax, it was like $13, 1,300 out the door.
and how much are the chillers?
They go from probably 300 to 400 for the 25
Oh,
liter.
so
So
1500, you're out the
it's about
door.
15. And then I guess you need a couple more things to, I mean, you're going to need more coils and more, some electrical stuff to kind of get it set up correctly. Cart, some shit to keep it on. And, But yeah, I think it's like about 15 or $1,600 all in, is what I'm hearing.
Hmm.
But and
Not
then the
bad.
25 liter, I guess, is what's kind of recommended if you're gonna use it for periods of time. Because if it, I guess the machine itself's got all kinds of sensors and shit. So if it overheats or something, it just shuts off and won't work, so it doesn't let itself blow up. But the 10 liter, I guess, works, but for so long, like if you use it for prolonged periods, it's just probably best to
Yeah.
go with the 25. So
Hmm. I was thinking of a cool usage of that would be when you're twisting Damascus. If you had one of the like the wands that you
mm-hmm.
could put over the
keep
steel as you're twisting.
keep heat on it. Yeah, I know. Chris, the video I saw, he heated up a 1 inch square bar of mild, and it was like less than a minute, and it was crackling.
Yeah.
So scale was popping off, so it's fast, dude,
Yeah.
and can
I mean,
isolate it. And
I've seen lots of videos on them, and I said that's the next. I'd say the last purchase, but the
yeah,
next
bullshit,
purchase,
bullshit. It's like my last
the
purchase.
next purchase that I want to make. And they're just way cheaper than I thought. So 1,500, I thought they'd be like 2,500
Yeah, I
or
think that like
more.
the cold forge one's like about $3,000, but that's everything: the chiller, the induction, the cart, the enclosure, like the whole thing. And I don't know what accessories it comes with, but
I'm quite happy getting a cart from Hobo Freight and slapping it on that.
yeah, well, buy once, cry once. I do that a lot too. Other times I'm cheap as hell.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, speaking of new tools, you helped me put the lathe on the stand, and it was. By the way, it was days later. I'm like, why do my legs hurt so much? I'm like, because we had to bend over and pick up this. How much do you think that thing weighed? 300 pounds?
I don't know. It was
250?
heavy as fuck. I know
It was
that.
heavy as
Yeah,
fuck.
I had to lift from my legs. That's for sure.
Right.
'Cause one
Right.
pull, I was like, "Oh no, my big ass is gonna fucking
I
pop
mean,
something easy."
we picked it up, and just at the end, because I had the skid right, some of my legs were spread out a little wider than they should have been, and then like one of my legs almost gave out. Um, but then we finally got it up there. So thank you for helping me. But I got to use it the other day. Made a little sleeve for something on the sanding machine that I was doing, and I love it. It works awesome. So Precision Matthews really helped me out on that one. Gave me like a 60% discount. So that'll definitely be in videos soon.
Nice.
Yeah, so no slop at all. It was so much like the old one. My old lathe was given to me by a friend. It was in really rough shape. I put a couple $100 in it and got it working, and it was fine for me because I'm doing like pommel nuts. Like literally, that's what I use it for, right?
Right.
most
Yeah.
most of the time. And then the last thing I used it on was probably the Starry Cosmos build on turning the Damascus for that build is the
Dude,
last thing I did on that.
dude, dude. I watched that video. I mean, I was there through a lot of that build.
Uh-huh.
That was badass. Like
Thank you.
I was watching you forge the
The
forge it to
plugs?
shape, kind of. No, even after before that, when you were kind of like setting it up to make the knife, and then how you were spinning the mosaic plugs,
Yeah.
and kind of stepping it down. That was cool, dude. I enjoyed
Yeah.
that.
Thank you. I wish I would. I mean, because the plugs were 7/8, uh, 7/8, 5/8, and a half. I think half inch. And sorry, that's imperial for anyone's listening outside the U.S. But um, the so I didn't have in my head how much bigger those were going to get after forging. Because the one of them it's probably inch and a quarter. So they really
Hmm.
spread out a lot bigger than I wanted, but it turned out okay because One of them gets cut, and you actually see the circle on the spine of the knife, like you see
Oh
the
yeah, I saw
mosaic.
it. Yeah, it kind of
Yeah.
you
So
on
that
the
was a cool
K-tip
effect.
part. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the smallest, it only happened on the smallest part. As I was turning it and forging it, I got that happy accident of the spiral in it. Guys, if you haven't seen it, go check out my latest build video. But this is a plug welded Damascus build that I've been working on for a while. And these are like circles. And when I was forging the circle, it was actually twisting, but it really worked with the pattern. It's now this like spiral, look like a little wormhole or something in
It came out
space.
cool.
So yeah, I was
It came
happy.
out really cool. Yeah.
The big one sold already, so I just got the other one.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was happy
No
with that.
inventory
And
for you.
what's that?
I said no inventory for you.
What when someone asked in the comments, "Oh, I can't wait to see them at Blade in Atlanta." I'm like, they're not going to be around that long. They're not going to hang on until June, but who knows?
Fuck, man. Maybe you'll talk the guy into sending it back to you like the other guys do.
Yeah. But yeah, so new lathe, anxious to use that. What other tools? That's about it for tools. So
Yeah. And then
what?
I had the God damn it. It's gone again. This brain of mine. Oh, so I etched the wave cutter, the chef knife I've been working on.
It came
This
out
weekend.
really nice. Really
Fuck, dude.
nice.
Fuck. Yeah. There's a handful of times I've made something very rare, but yeah, I look at it, I'm like, there's no fucking way I did that. There's no fucking way. Like that is not possible. Like I can't. I took some pictures and started sending some videos, and for whatever reason, like I don't know, Brian House, close your ears. I have a hard time like pushing things or like trying to overpost or you know what I mean. Like I don't want to be a try hard of like ooh hey look at me I'm doing naked cartwheels kind of dude, but I know I got to fucking get okay. Never mind. I don't want to be like that guy like hey look at me. But I mean it's part of our deal, right? I mean, this is what we're
you need
doing. We
to.
have
This
to
is
fucking do it. Jared, you
promotion. You
have
have
to
to
do
do
it.
it.
You have to push yourself. 50%, 50%, 3%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that
So
one's one you need to get up on the mountain and toot your horn about because that one looks
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
did a little bit today. I kind of went on a couple multi-platforms and but it's awesome. And for me, it's awesome. I'm not saying the build is awesome. I'm trying to take
No.
my own, but
Okay, I'm
yeah.
going to back you up there. It's awesome. Not just for you. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
whatever.
Like if I had that knife cut on my shop, I'd be thrilled with it. The pattern looks amazing. It for everyone. This is like a 400 layer that's been chevroned, so it's like a chevron pattern because there's like a wave theme in the
Yeah.
Damascus and in the handle. Eventually, it'll the whole theme will come together. But it looks really really nice.
Yeah. And I'm just through the moon. But so I've etched quite a few knives, but I've done it just kind of like some gomais and some sand mais and some stone washes and um but I haven't like I was not nervous, but like I really wanted to do a good job, right? Because I know that there was like potential in this thing for it to look good. Um so I was talking to Dennis and I was like, I'm gonna come over, I'm gonna bring it. But I was torn between if I wanted to do just a regular traditional ferric or gator piss. And I had settled on gator piss, right? Because I think a while ago I was saying how much cool shit I've seen and I wanted to see it, for myself. So I get everything ready and I'm fucking running out of my shop yesterday morning to go over to Dennis's and I get halfway, I get into the fucking mountain. We're like 20 minutes apart and I'm about just far enough to where I can't turn around. And all of a sudden I see the fucking gator piss in my mind sitting on the top of my my bench in my in my garage. I forgot it, so I was like, "Fuck, man."
Ferric it is.
Ferric it is. And then now I keep going back and forth. Like, do I want to coffee it? And I don't think I am. I think I made up my mind. I'm just going to leave it how it is. It's it's doing it for me. So that's kind of where it is.
Yeah, I would keep the. Well, that was yesterday, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was yesterday.
yeah. I mean, I would keep like the mineral oil or like WD-40 on it still for a while.
Yeah, I just checked it earlier. It's still got a nice thin layer on it. But
Yeah.
it's not funny. I was like, he's like, go grab, do this and sand the oxides art. Now, look, I've heard the word. I've heard it said many times. I'm sanding away, and he's like, "Get the oxides." I had to look at him like, "The fuck is the oxide? Like, what?" I mean, I get it. It's the shit that's gonna come up off of the plate. I'm like, "Is it the black shit?" He's like, "Yes," and I'm like, "Oh, that makes so much sense. I feel so efficient right now." Oh, I'm a
Well,
noob.
at least you're willing to admit it. But I guess I don't think about assume everyone knows the term. But that's a good point. Not everyone knows all these terms. So
No, I mean, decarb. You get it. I mean, the scale. I mean, there's some things that are just very apparent, but as I was going through it, I'm like, what the fuck is a goddamn oxide? So I really try, guys. I really try to make it a point when I don't know something to, ask. So
yeah, well, that's what you got to
sometimes,
do.
otherwise I just fake it till I make it. And,
Yeah, no,
whatever.
Sunday I finished the first bars when in that session. I did end up redoing that piece. So I'm doing this complex crosses pattern for the Viking challenge, which it's going to be a lot of steel. It's three billets that are 1.5 by 4 inch by about 2 inches tall, maybe 2.5 inches tall, and there's three of those. And then I screwed one of them up because it has to be 2.5, has to be forged to 2.5 inches wide, and I couldn't get the widths, and I was all mad and realized I needed an edge bar anyway, so I just turned it into a long piece that I'll twist later. But yeah, after you left, I did the other piece, so I did forge four different billets into C's in the right format and length and blah blah.
That's something
So
too. Those and the Cosmos build, the little graphs that you're putting down there on the bottom are fucking cool.
yeah,
Really tells the tale. It's like one of
that
those other things. Really crush W's and C's and blah blah blah. When you're seeing it, it should look like this, and then you show the picture. It's like that's cool. I'm sure that helps out a lot of people.
yeah, those for everyone thinks, oh, what software are you using to do that? Yeah, I do that by hand. I go into a photo like Photoshop, and there's a tool in Photoshop called Wave where you can like push something or pull something. So I have to like do all that by hand, and I'm
Hey
literally
now,
like pushing on it on a piece of the graphic to smush it, and it takes like 2 hours to do the graphics for a video like that. So
oh, I like them more now. Give me
you
more.
better,
Yeah,
fuck you better. And
yeah.
normally I'm editing videos as I get the footage, but this one, I don't know. I didn't start. I didn't. It was a blank page. I started Friday morning, Friday ish, and it took me, including the graphics and all that. I bet you I edited that video for 6 hours, like off and on through the day and at night. And man, I was so tired of editing that day.
That
So
sounds horrible.
it has its moments. But I did. I'm actually the part that I'm most happy with. I mean, I love the Damascus on it, but it's the first time I've done a faceted handle like that, so I was really happy with those more than more than anything. Like I had seen the Damascus, so it wasn't like thrilling me all that much because I had etched it probably a month ago.
Right.
Because I've had those on my bench for a while, but the handles I was happy with. And my
Oh, they came out good.
wasn't my first time using Koa, but first time in like a hidden tang, like with a block.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice. I like it. I got lots
Yeah,
more.
it's easy. Yeah. Yeah, I remember. I was gonna say, oh, with that, the tooling arm thing that I made for the anvil, the slide thing
Mm-hmm.
on the table. So I last week I was talking about, I can't remember where I saw it because definitely not something that I came up with, and it was just escaping me. And about middle of the week, it dawned on me where I saw it, and I was talking to Brent, Ball Man Knife and Tool, and we were bullshitting, and I was like, "Oh, did you see that thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and then I go, "Oh fuck, that's where I saw it." And he goes, "Oh really?" Right? So I owe Brian and Brent a shout out because I saw it at the Foundry. Brian has it's set up a little bit different, but there was a couple things the way that he had the slide in for the anvils, the knife vise, and a couple of things, and then he's also got this really cool um like metal fucking I can't say what I'm thinking. It's these pillars that come up off the side of the table and then cross
Oh yeah,
over.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he has tooling arms, slides in there and lights on there, which I want to do for a couple of my benches because I think it's really cool. Because I don't know about you guys, but like light is a premium, and when my garage is up open, I lose half the fucking ability to light my shop up, and I'm currently losing my sight because I'm fucking old. So like I forgot my glasses today at work and I had to fucking go to Walgreens and buy fucking readers. Can you believe it?
I can believe it because I've done it.
Oh god, this is a first for me. It was just ugh. Oh, such a bummer, dude.
Yeah, it
But
doesn't get
yeah,
better.
yeah, I know. It's fucking bad. But so yeah, shout out to Brian and Brent. So I was talking to him about the induction forge too, and he was one of the people I called and was asking about it. And he's like, "Oh yeah, we do all this stuff with it," and kind of helped seal the deal. So he sent me a video the next morning, and he's like, "All right, here's the induction forge," and showed me the same one that I ended up buying, and kind of showed me all the attachments and shit like that. And then he sends me another reel, and he goes, "All right, and then here's this setup for the anvil that we stole from you," and I was fucking dying, dude. I was crying. I was sitting in my office on Friday or whatever, and I was literally in tears. I was like, "God damn, you're such a dick. That's awesome." So
but
my bad, guys.
but you mentioned lighting. Like that's one thing I've always had a challenge with in the shop. Same reason, because when the garage is up, you can't. I can't hang anything from it, right? And I also have those racks, the ceiling racks. So that kind of hides. It prevents
Mm.
me from hanging stuff. So I've got those pillow lights from Brian. Like he gave me the links to those big pillow lights.
Oh yeah.
So over my main workbench, that's what I use. But anywhere else in the shop, um, like if I'm literally anywhere else, especially that surface grinder, I got to get the big surface grinder. It's dark as fuck over there.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah. That's dark
yeah,
as fuck, and so is the sink when you're trying to sand off oxides.
yeah. So I need to get some more lighting over there. I just haven't figured out how and what I'm gonna do. I'm also tight on power in the shop now, so
Oh no.
real
I
world problems.
officially used every single breaker, and I had a bunch left. No
I
more.
I think I have one 20 amp, one slot, a single slot, so I could put another outlet in there, but I'd have to wire it, and I don't really feel like doing that.
I don't.
But
But my buddy and I, or my buddy, helped me use one of the last breakers for some outlets. So I put two four ways up in my ceiling to run the bench with all the drills and the hyper disc and all that crap. and then we have room for one more on the other side of the shop. So I'll have plenty of outlets, but that's it. I'm done.
How much 220 do you have in the shop? You have it on either wall, right?
I have one on the grinder side, and then I put one in the middle on the ceiling.
Oh yeah, right.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. So, and that has a long extension cord that I pop in. So it's perfect with the extension cord and where it's at. I can get anywhere for the extra 220 if you can have an extra.
Yeah. Cool. So, couple of things that I wanted to go over because I was just reading. I always like when I'm going on Facebook, especially if I'm on bladesmithing for beginners, and see a lot of beginner questions, and I like to rack those up. Let's talk about them on here. So one that I know you and I have talked about ages, and I've talked about it in videos, but it seems to come up on a regular basis. So I want to cover it here, and since you talked about etching full tang knives, how do you etch? What do you do if you're going to etch a full tang knife and you want it stonewashed or something like that, but you got to finish the handle? What do you do? So, and you just had this, you're doing this with the wave cutter that you're talking about, which is you're not going to stonewash it, So that one, there's a couple of schools of thought here. And the first question I was asking everybody is, what is your handle material? Is it wood? What color is it wood? Is it really light wood? Is it African black wood? For the Starry Cosmos knives, I was going to remember the names of them. I ended up, if you guys have seen the video, I ended up actually nail polishing the entire handle because these are integral bolster chef knives, so they have to be etched. You got to grind, you got to sand the whole thing together, right? You can't separate it. So I ended up nail polishing the entire handle, putting the whole things in the acid. I did actually coffee those, but I didn't like it, so I took the coffee off.
Good move.
Yeah, they were too dark.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one way, is you can use clear nail polish or nail polish, doesn't have to be clear, and carefully nail polish your handle and protect it. The other way, there's a couple other ways, and I just sent someone on Bladesmithing for Beginners this advice like a couple hours ago, is the only place I can find them is Maker Materials Supply, and they have these things called Gulso bolts. Gulso, Gulso, and they're torque head bolts. One's a barrel, one's a bolt, a threaded bolt, and they go into each other. And the ones I use are 5/32 barrel and 1/4-inch head. Then you just bolt your scales on, finish your handle and your spine, then fully finish your handle, pop the scales off, etch it, stonewash it, do whatever you're ever going to do. Your handles is completely done. You put them back on, you bolt them together. And I was thinking today, even if you don't want to use the Gulso bolts as the finished product, you finish your handle that way, you pop them off, then you could drill through your you'd have to use 1/4-inch pins, but you could drill through your holes and actually use a G10 at that point, because you just got a tiny little bit of sanding. You follow me? If you didn't actually,
they're 5/32 though.
No, I know. That's what I mean. You have to drill through the holes.
Yeah.
So
you're heat that up with your induction forge.
you would have to, and I've done Gulso bolts where the hole in the handle, in the steel, is in 5/32. It's a pain in the ass, but as long as they're centered, you're fine. Because I've had knives where I've accidentally drilled them the 3/16, and all I've done is then taken a 3/16 bit and just touch them so you get a center point, and then drill through the handle with 5/32. The hole in the hand in the steel doesn't have to be 5/32.
True.
You look confused, Jerid. You following me here?
No.
Oh,
I'm
your
following you.
camera's your camera just
We're
paused, and
lagging
you
a
had
little
this
bit.
like
Yeah.
puzzled look on your face, like what the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, it's not an uncommon look, but no, I'm following you.
Yeah. So, guys out there, if you're looking to you want to you're doing full tang knives and you want to etch your stone wash and you want to see the stone wash around the spine, that's how you do it. Or
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know
you could.
some people use actual barrels and threaded bolts on both sides that do that. This guy right here has them
Oh,
that
okay,
way.
yeah. He's
Yeah,
holding up a thicker clipper here.
I am.
Yep. Yeah.
So there's a
Anything.
couple different ways, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But
but
usually
it's
some kind of mechanical connection you can remove.
yeah, exactly. But you can definitely get. That's how I get all the my Cerakoted, the Stormtrooper, and a couple other ones I'm working on that are the same way.
Yeah. I
Although I'm kind of
originally.
good.
No. Here you go.
I'm just kind of tripping out on the wave cutter because I don't have that. But I have the other thing. If you have like epoxy resin scales, you could just dip those the whole thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I like you were saying, if they were like, you know, paper micarta, maybe I wouldn't risk it.
Yeah.
Like it's not in coffee. Paper micarta and ferric, you'd probably still be fine. It might discolor a little bit, but like anything else is
I'm not.
probably fine.
I'm struggling though. The two opportunities that I had to use that had white kind of mixed in, and
Yeah.
I ended up not doing it because the ferric will stain that.
Yeah.
There's not.
Yeah.
It'll dull it or turn it a little brownish or
Yeah. A
something.
little
So
yellowish, like it'll look like pee.
yeah, gator piss.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I switching topics. I put the hand rests on the sanding machine today.
Nice.
And the top. Actually, I got the Instagram video ready in the can to release tomorrow to talk about it. But I'm happy with it. It looks really good. I
Cool.
think all of the machinery is done. Like all the parts are machined. The hand rests are they make a huge difference. Having the hand rests.
I still can't see them. I mean, I understand the concept, but I'm interested to see it.
Yeah, they're actually about a quarter inch lower than the plate, but that actually works out for me. I think it works out well because just the way your hands are propped up just slightly, you leave
Oh,
the
yeah, I get it now. So you're just
yeah
putting your palms on there,
putting
and
your
they're
palms on
removable,
there.
right?
They're bolted in. You can remove them, but it's a bit of a pain in the ass to unbolt
Yeah,
them.
because
But
that works for you because you have a a smaller sanding block.
no, but the plate is higher than the thing. So even
Yeah,
if
but
you
they
had a
would get in
long
the
bow,
way if you. Oh,
no,
it
no, no,
would
no.
go under it.
The hand rests are lower by a quarter inch. The plate's
Okay.
higher, the center plate.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
it would work no matter what you use.
Okay.
So that's the other reason why I wanted them that way. So
Okay.
that if you're using like the Orion sanding stick or any of
Yeah.
those will work fine.
Yeah. Got it.
So yeah. So yeah,
Cool.
now it's on to Fusion 360 to learn how to do sheet metal and to make the enclosures the last thing. And then, of course, figure out how to get all these machines these parts machined. Talking backwards,
Right.
and then figuring out what this thing's going to cost. There's the whole business part. Got Brian in the back of my head.
Right.
What this is going to cost, how many I'm going to make, and these places that you send parts out to get cut. It's amazing how much the price changes by volume. Like if you want one part cut, it's like
It's all
$300.
about the setup, dude. It's all about the
Yeah,
setup.
totally.
It's
Totally.
all that is. Yeah. I
Yeah.
know a guy. Remember, don't forget.
Yeah. No, I'm yeah. So
Yeah, the setup is a bitch because we were talking about doing a couple of things, and he's just like, "Do you really fucking need this? Because it's gonna be a bitch to get this thing set up on the mill." And I'm like, "Okay, maybe not."
that's what the manual mill's for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But there are times like I screwed up a couple of the things, like, you're in Fusion 360 and you're like, yeah, that looks like enough room between those two bolt holes. Well,
Yeah. What'd you call me?
if
Oh, no.
but if you don't, you don't actually put the bolt in there, you realize, hey, those bolts are actually touching. They don't even spin.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I'm still new at Fusion 360, so I've made a few mistakes, but that's all right.
Dude, I
Nothing.
don't know what it is with Fusion 360 knife print. Like, I've been a CAD guy for longer than I care to say because no, I already told you guys I'm going blind, but for a long time I've been using CAD for work, and I'm hoping that predominantly like a 2-dimensional, just regular AutoCAD, but the 3D stuff um, is cool, and I use it for work. But man, I am having a hard time transitioning over, even though it should be fun, and like, when you're passionate about something, obviously you're into it and you want to learn everything. But man, the thought of sitting at a computer and doing 360, like learning another software and stuff, just it is not my jam right now. It
Yeah,
is
but
not my jam right now.
here's the thing, though. You're going to have some of the groundwork that, because you're a CAD guy, that I don't have.
Yeah.
Like you already know how to do probably like constraints and like
No, see,
that.
that's funny. That's funny because a regular AutoCAD isn't really, I mean, there's some concepts of, coordinates and, other things, but a lot of the commands they're not transferable. Like Revit is another architectural 3D drafting program that's pretty much the future, but extruding and all those things are not part of, or were
Yeah, but
never a part of my daily deal. So it just makes me go, "Arr."
but the concept of like, hey, I need to put 16 bolt holes, 16 holes in this plate, and
Mhm.
instead of doing 16 of them, you do
Copy
one,
them.
and then you use the rectangular pattern thing, and then you use the mirror to
Yeah.
mirror the, like,
Yeah.
you're familiar with those
Yeah.
concepts,
Sure.
whereas I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, do 1, 2, 3, and then you watch a video and you're like, okay, delete out that whole thing
Yeah.
and do it
Yeah.
again, and
All that stuff's about processes too. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Make it faster. But I don't
yeah,
know. It's just not. It. I'm sure I'll get there. But I was trying to just mess around with knife print, and it's so not what I'm used to that it's more frustrating. Actually, I actually wish I didn't know anything, and this is what I knew because I wouldn't be fighting it so much. Because I have an operation that's like just ingrained in my head for so many years and how I want to do something, and the different types of CAD programs don't kind of operate that way. So it's kind of frustrating. But I'm happy that you're doing it, dude, because it's an awesome program and like endless opportunities for. I mean, look at you. You're building a fucking sanding machine now.
yeah. And hey, because I had to, when I did the actual parts, I needed the technical drawing. And I'm like, well, fuck, how do I turn my 3D drawing into a technical drawing? I don't know. Watch more videos and then realize, oh, there's a right click on your drawing and create, or right click on your design and create drawing, and then adding dimensions. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is really easy. But,
Yeah, I should say you're not building one, you're designing one. That there's a big difference there.
well, yeah,
So,
I mean, I'm doing both, but
well, I'm saying like, getting out
yeah,
there and just fabricating, putting it together, but you're designing it, right? You're gonna have a
yeah,
plan and be able to
yeah,
produce and production. That's awesome.
yeah. But yeah, it's fun.
Cool.
I'll have to think of more things to make after this, but I got to get this one out the door.
Yeah. I have
There's the
some
whole. I,
ideas.
I'm afraid of what it's going to cost to get the parts machine. That's what I'm terrified of. Because so the locals, I don't know about anywhere else, but here in California and here specifically in the town I live in Livermore, so there's one steel yard, there's one place to get steel, and I went over there, and at least one I know of, and said, "Hey, do you
What's
guys
the
know
one?
any? You know any um,
Machine
any
shops?
like machine shops?" And they're like, "No, there's none. There was two guys. They're both retired, like in the last 2 years. There's no place to get things machined locally. So my only option is things like send cut send or hubs machining. So basically sending them out, and I think that's just going to be the future of things. Like local machine shops, I think are getting killed by these online places that you send your design to and they send you parts. So
Yeah.
that's what I got to do.
They have expensive machines and all the
Yeah.
overhead, they can produce mass quantities. It's
Yeah. They just get them set up and sent. So
yeah.
I still want to get um, a couple of things like what Brian did and get some copper spoons made for Blade Show. So the reason Jerid is laughing is because I got to tell the story. So when we were at the foundry at Brian's place, Jerid goes, "I want to get a little swage block, and I want to.
I bought one.
Yeah, he bought
I
one.
bought one.
Yeah, he bought one. He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to make some copper spoons." I'm like, "Fucking copper spoons? What are you talking about?" And everyone at the foundry is like, started like copper spoons, and they're all laughing. And here we are, 9 months later,
It's copper
and
spoon season.
it's copper spoon season. Mr. House does a video making a copper spoon, and it's got like what 1.5 million views or something like that. You lost your
Yeah.
chance, Jerid.
Yeah, that happens a lot, right? I mean, it's one thing to think it, but the ones that do it, to
Got to be the
kudos to them.
doer.
Yeah,
Got
you
to
got to
be
be
the
the doer. You
doer.
can't sit around and think about things all day. But yeah, I was called less than masculine names for me wanting to make a spoon, and now all of a sudden it's the fucking the bee's knees, and
Yeah, definitely the bee's knees now.
yeah,
So yeah, I do. I think they're cool. So I want to make one of those. The first one I'll make for my wife, but
yeah,
because she's a coffee fanatic and she need a coffee spoon.
yep.
But so
So you
man,
got the. What are you doing with the Viking challenge? Are you going to spill the beans, or are you keeping it still to
oh,
your chest?
honestly, I know the Damascus. I haven't designed the weapon. Like I'm basically just making Damascus. I'm thinking, eh, there's like, okay, don't yell at me, people, but I'm
I'll
thinking
yell at him.
there's like two kinds of Viking swords. There's the sax, and then there's the other sword that is, sorry if you're like Viking descent, but it's an exceptionally boring looking sword. Um,
Bullshit.
it
No, I'm
is
kidding.
not the sax. You don't be an ass. I just think the Viking weapons are just, I don't know, they're not that interesting. I've done a Viking spear, so I'm not gonna. I've already done a Damascus Viking spear, so I'm not gonna do a spear. Although I love spears and I think they're cool. I
Did
still
that
have
thing
that.
ever sell?
No, I was gonna say I still have that one.
Oh, yeah, that's a bummer. It's probably because you're
Yeah,
bad mouthing him.
I know, right?
Nah.
So I mean, like at least a sax is something I've never done. So I think it's just going to be a big ass sax. I've got about, I don't know how many pounds of steel in Damascus, plus there's more steel because there's a bunch of 1084 that's separator kind of things that's got to get added to that stack.
Mm-hmm.
So and there's an edge bar. So I think there's a ton of steel. Could be a, I don't know, 30-inch sax or something. I don't know. Crazy. There's a lot of steel in those. They're pretty wide. So
I found myself on Google at some point today looking at Viking weapons because somebody asked me. I can't remember who it was. sorry, it's not coming to me. But they're like, are you doing it? And I was like, man, no, I don't have time. Like I have a bunch of shit I want to do. And then, I was like, maybe. But I doubt I will, but maybe if it was a cooler challenge. No, I'm kidding.
That's it.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, we've actually. I'm going to float this one as the next challenge. I'd love to do a challenge that was military weapons. I'd love to see, and it can be any military. It doesn't have to be U.S. military or Canadian military or whatever. And no cracks about Canadian military. I would love to see that because you can do officer sabers, you can do rapiers, there's K-bars. So I might float the idea for the next challenge. We make it a military themed, but it's not just up to me.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
I'll open it up.
What was the other one we were gonna? Oh, a sci-fi challenge. Sci-fi. Yeah, I'm like, everyone's gonna do. Oh, I'm gonna do the dark saber. I'm gonna do the. Who cares?
I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for some cool shit out of that.
There is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more of a fantasy nerd than sci-fi, but I mean, I love Star Wars and all that stuff, but I'm not exactly going to make a lightsaber. So
it's already been done,
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll probably be a sax. I haven't thought about the guard. I haven't even looked at a design, and I'm usually like, the first thing I do is go to Knife Print and I make this like elaborate design. I haven't done any of that. I'm just making the Damascus now because I know that's going to be the long part.
Yeah.
So I probably got 1, 2, 3 more forge sessions at least. More than maybe 4 because I got to put the edge bar. No, what am I saying? More than that. Probably 6.
Jesus.
Because I got to like tile the Damascus and I haven't even done the bar, like the end bar. Then that's got to be 4-weight and 4-weight again. So that's 3. Then tiled, then edge bar, and then final forging. So yeah, it's probably like 5 or 6 forge sessions. This stuff just doesn't happen. It's got to be planned.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I mean, there's a good joke in there. I just didn't do. So, but the one thing we got to get to before we get out of here is the actual topic of the podcast, and that's your the Triple T video. And great job, dude.
Thank
Seriously,
you.
like that was all the things that I felt needed to be covered were covered. From, like I said, obviously you're not going to target the experienced guys. For the beginners, though, the breakdown of the hammers, I thoroughly enjoyed watching you pretend or hit the I just laughed my ass off. It was great just watching you do your hammer demonstration. But that's me. That was funny. But the anvils, the forges, the venturi, the forstair, the ribbon burner, the rounding, the peens, like it was a well put together, and I think it should benefit a lot of people for a long time to come, because there's only a few of them that kind of you normally get people talking about 1 or 2 of those subjects. So to put it all together in a half-hour video was really cool. I enjoyed it. So
yeah, this week's video is going to be, I'm actually going to finally, people are probably saying, yeah, finally forge something. I'm going to actually forge a knife, and this will be like a hunter-ish kind of knife, and actually forge it and show, step by step forging it. What am I going to do here? I'm hitting it here because I'm hitting it there because that kind of thing. So that'll be this week's video. And it's actually too bad the video, I'm teaching a class, an intro class this weekend. So it's kind of too bad I'm not recording like this coming weekend, because it would have been cool to use what I'm doing this weekend, because I usually forge a knife in those classes at the same time that students are forging a knife, to show them, hey, this is what I'm doing, and they can kind of see what I'm going along with them. So it's too bad that I'm not doing it with the class, but I mean with for the class for this video. But then I'll probably take a break and do kind of like the Knife Steel 101 type video.
Yep.
And actually, the other piece. So there's so many videos now that are going to get racked up, because I think the knife designing, it's probably not as important right now, because for your first knife, you're usually copying a design. You're not usually coming up with something original. So maybe the knife design one can wait.
Yeah.
But the knife steel one is one I think is pretty important before we get into, because so many guys, start, again, other things I've seen people do is I did it. They start with the 1095, and which is a tough steel to heat treat, and they don't know where to get steel. So a bunch of that, and I covered some of that in the first video anyway, but the different steels and why with the basic carbon steels I'll probably cover in a video. So
Yeah, there's there's a lot to talk about with the steels. Have you messed around with the are you have any plans to mess around with the Apex?
probably not, um, because the only time that I'm using, this is me, the only time that I'm using carbon steels is usually with Damascus. I'm not going to use Apex in Damascus. I don't even know if it forge welds very well at all. I don't know how it etches, so I'm not going to, and I don't even know what its heat treat is. So I'm probably, and besides, you still got to mix it with another steel to, to get contrast. So why would I use Apex for half of it? So I don't think that's really a realistic thing. And if I'm doing a mono steel blade, I'm probably going to use stainless, just for the obvious no rusting and the rust resistance and that kind of thing. So I don't see and I hear it's just a bitch to grind and stuff. If I'm going to do that, I might as well go to MagnaCut and have that
The
crazy experience with
stainless. Yeah.
MagnaCut
Yeah.
with stainless. So I don't know, like some people that love you doing carbon steels, or they really want like a premium. For my opinion, Apex is for, like, you want a super supreme chef knife for a chef that knows how to take care of it, because it's carbon steel and it's going to rust. You know, am I going to make a hunting knife out of Apex that some guy's going to take into the bush? No, like, I'm not going to do that, because I don't think it's a good use. A knife that has any propensity to get wet, I'm just not going to use a carbon steel. I'm probably going to use a stainless. So, I don't know. What's your thoughts on it?
Anything new I want to try, but I still haven't done the MagnaCut either. I mean, again, I always have to check myself that I got to get some fundamentals and basic things not mastered, but more comfortable with. So, but it does interest me. I mean, getting anything, with the edge retention and all those, pluses that we kind of sacrifice with the regular high carbon is cool to me. So I
Yeah.
definitely want to do it, and somebody's gonna fucking figure out how to get Damascus out of it, and
Yeah. I mean, if they had like a 2% nickel variant of Apex, like, that would be very interesting. And if it again, and if it forge welds. And hey, if you guys know about forge welding properties of Apex or anything like that, then leave us a comment or drop us an email at triple T FKM podcast Gmail and let us know. Of forgeability or anything like that. But if they did have like a nickel version of it, that might be cool. Be interesting to see some more steel variations for Damascus. So I'm not hearing you right now.
Yeah, I was coughing, trying to have some podcast etiquette, and then I started jibber jabbing. I said I'm on the Apex Ultra site right now, and then right on the the front it said the low alloy design that's forgeable, forge weldable, and fine carbides make the steel relatively easy to finish and sharpen. So all those questions are.
Wait a second. It makes the steel relatively easy to sharpen and finish.
That's what it says.
I hear it's a bear.
It says 66 plus HRC. I mean, obviously that's easy to sand.
Yeah, I'm hearing from Coakley. Ryan said it's just a nightmare, and people ask for it, and he just cranks the price up because of the amount of belts he's going to go through. So didn't he say something like 3 belts for 3 36s for
He
one
did,
knife?
Yeah. I think Noah had a piece too, but yeah, they're the only ones that I haven't been following too closely on the steel itself. But yeah, he did say that it ran through a lot of belts.
Yeah, that doesn't interest me all that much. But I mean, I don't make like a ton of EDC. Like I don't make EDC knives for like the EDC aficionados kind of thing. And that'd be where I think that steel is going to shine for the guys like the chefs or the people that, that want the absolute best steel. Most of my customers are going for, the higher end, prettier knives or something like that are, but who knows? Maybe I do have people out there that want the super steels. So
You'll be doing it. You'll do
yeah,
it soon.
yeah, maybe.
It's a good video, if anything, right? I mean, come on.
That's true. That's true.
Right.
It probably would be a good video. I'm more apt to do Magna Cut before Apex.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think
I like the idea of all those steels, but I don't like the idea of paying the price. ABL and 1080 and 80 CRV2 are right in my wheelhouse for the price range. Helps me make impulsive buys on tooling. So
I may need to go make that same impulsive buy this week. We'll see.
Yeah,
Then
come
I got to
join the
figure
team,
out
dude.
where to put it, and space is at premium.
Yeah, I know I had to pass up on a lathe because of that for this. I didn't know it at the time, but that's what it was about.
Yep. All right, man. I think that's a show.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah. And sorry I fell asleep on you yesterday.
It's all right. I'll fake on you sometime soon.
All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. We will see you next week on the Triple T for Knife Makers podcast.
Woo. I'm dancing. And that's a wrap.